Today we discuss about authentication concept, security authentication concept in Laravel. Many web applications provide a way for their users to authenticate with the application and login. Implementing this feature in web applications can be a complex and potentially risky endeavor. So Laravel provides how users are authenticated and will be retrieved from the persistent storage. So Laravel authentication facilities are made up of mainly guards and providers. Guards define how users are authenticated for each request. Providers define how users are retrieved from our persistent storage. Application's authentication configuration file is located at config/auth.php. Guards and providers should not be confused with roles and permissions, and they have separate implementation. Database considerations. By default, Laravel includes an app models user eloquent model in our app/models directory. This model may be used with the default eloquent authentication driver. If our application is not using eloquent, we may use the database authentication provider which uses the Laravel query builder. When building the database schema for the app/model/user model, we have to make sure the password column is at least 60 characters in length. The users table migration that is included in new Laravel applications already creates a column that exceeds this length. Also, we should verify that our users table contains a nullable string remember underscore token column of 100 characters. This column will be used to store a token for users that select the remember me option when logging into our application. Again, the default users table migration that is included in new Laravel applications already contains this column. Laravel provides free packages that provide which will include robust modern scaffolding of the entire authentication layer. These packages are Laravel Breeze, Laravel Jetstream and Laravel Fortify. Laravel Breeze is a simple, minimal implementation of all of Laravel's authentication features, including login, registration, password reset, email verification, and password confirmation. Laravel Fortify is a headless authentication backend for Laravel that implements many of features found in the documentation, including cookie-based authentication as well as other features such as two-factor authentication and email verification. Fortify provides the authentication backend for Laravel Jetstream or may be used independently in combination with Laravel Sanctum to provide authentication for a single page application that needs to authenticate with Laravel. Laravel Jetstream is a robust application starter kit that consumes and exposes Laravel Fortify's authentication services with a beautiful modern UI powered by Tailwind CSS, Livewire, and or Inertia. Laravel Getstream includes optional support for two-factor authentication, team support, browser session management, profile management, and a built-in integration with Laravel Sanctum to offer API token authentication. Laravel's API authentication services. Laravel provides two optional packages to assist us in managing API tokens and authenticating requests made with API tokens. Those are two optional packages are Passport and Sanctum. So with these two packages, we can implement API authentication services. Passport is an OAuth 2 authentication provider offering a variety of OAuth 2 grant types which allow us to issue various types of tokens. Sanctum. In response to the complexity of OAuth 2 and developer confusion, so we set out to build a simpler, more streamlined authentication package that could handle both first party web requests from a web browser and API requests via token. Laravel Sanctum is a hybrid web API authentication package that can manage our application's entire authentication process. Now we see different methods regarding authentication and auth facets methods. So first we see retrieving the authenticated user. We use user method on auth facet in order to retrieve the authenticated user. So syntax will be like this: dollar user equal to auth double colon user semicolon. And also we can retrieve ID uh, by using ID method. ID equal to auth double colon ID. Like this, we use user method and ID method. And next we see the topic called determining if the current user is authenticated. We use check method, auth double colon check method. So it determines whether the current user is authenticated or not. Protecting routes. We will be using auth middleware in order to protect routes. Laravel ships with an auth middleware, which is a middleware alias for the Illuminate Auth middleware authenticate class. Now we see redirecting unauthenticated users. So we will be using method called redirect guests to. So like this we will be using the redirect guests to method and specifying a guard. So we will be using middleware method. We will be attaching middleware to the particular route by using auth colon admin. Here admin is the guard which is configured in the array of auth.php configuration file. Middleware auth colon admin. Here admin is guard. Like this we will be specifying a particular guard. Login throttling. So we will be using attempt method on auth facet. So in order to know so uh, how the incoming requests are attempting from the login form. we will be using attempt method. Attempt method accepts an array of key value pairs as its first argument. The values in the array will be used to find the user in our database table. The intended method provided by Laravel's redirector will redirect the user to the URL they are attempting to access before using, intercepted by the authentication middleware. Like this, we will be using the intended method. A fallback URI may be given to this method in case the intended destination is not available. Now we see specifying additional conditions. To the attempt method, we will be passing additional conditions as an array, like email, password, active one, like that. Now we are also having attempt when method, which receives a closure as its second argument may be used to perform more extensive inspection of the potential user before actually authenticating the user. Attempt when method provides an extensive inspection of the potential user. So it will return true or false to indicate if the user may be authenticated. Accessing specific guard instances. So we will be using the guard method. Auth packet. Auth double colon guard of admin attempt credentials. So in the if condition we will be passing like that. If auth double colon guard of admin attempt credentials like this. So remembering users. We will be using remember underscore token column. If our application offers rememberable functionality, we may use the via remember method to determine if the currently authenticated user was authenticated using the rememberable cookie. Like this, we will be using the via remember method. Auth double colon via remember. Now we see other authentication methods. Authenticate a user instance. So we'll be using login method on auth packet. Auth double colon login of $user. And also we may specify an authentication guard before calling the login method. Be like this auth double colon guard of admin login $user. And also to authenticate a user using their database records primary key. So we'll be using login using ID method. Auth double colon login using ID of 1. So like this we will be using the login using ID method. We may pass a boolean value to the remember argument of the login using ID method. So this value indicates if remember me functionality is desired for the authenticated session. So auth double colon login using ID 1 comma remember colon true. Now we see authenticate a user once. We may use the once method to authenticate a user with the application for a single request. No sessions or cookies will be utilized when calling this method. So it will be like this. If auth double colon once on credentials, like this, auth double colon once. HTTP basic authentication. So we will be using middleware called auth.basic. So we will be assigning this middleware to a particular route. Route double colon get URI comma closure. To that we will be attaching middleware auth.basic. Note on fast CGI. If we are using the PHP fast CGI and Apache to serve our application, our Laravel application, HTTP basic authentication may not work correctly. To correct these problems, the following lines may be added to our applications.htaccess file. Rewrite condition percentage http colon authorization dot plus starting ending rewrite rule dot star hyphen e equal to http underscore authorization percentage http colon authorization. Like this we will be mentioning the additional rules in .ht-access file. We use PHP Fast CGI Apache. Now we see stateless HTTP basic authentication. We may also use HTTP basic authentication without setting a user identifier cookie in the session. So this is primarily helpful if we choose to use HTTP authentication to authenticate requests to our application's API. So to accomplish this, define a middleware that calls the once basic method. If no response is returned by the once basic method, the request may be passed further to the application. So like this we will be using once basic method for the stateless HTTP basic authentication. Next we attach this middleware to a route. First we create a class called authenticate once with basic auth. With this name we will be using within that handle method we will be using auth double colon once basic method, and after that we will be attaching that class name whatever we created authenticate once with basic auth. This is a class name. This class name will be attached to the route, particular route, by using middleware method like this route double colon get URI comma closure middleware of authenticate once with basic auth double colon classes. So like this we will be maintaining the stateless HTTP basic authentication feature. Now we see logging out. So we will be using logout method on auth packet. Invalidating sessions on other devices. So we will be using uh, logout other devices method on auth packet. Password confirmation. So for this we need two kinds of routes. One is for displaying a view asking a user to confirm their password, and another route to confirm that the password is valid and redirect the user to their intended destination. Configuration. We will be using config slash auth.php configuration file. So routing the password confirmation form. Route double colon get slash confirm slash password comma function return view auth dot confirm slash pass confirm hyphen password. So in the middleware we will mention auth middleware and we will be using name route password dot confirm. Like this we will be using one route to display the form that is asking for the password confirmation. Now we see another route for confirming the password. Route double colon post confirm hyphen password function request dollar request if hash double colon check dollar request password comma dollar request user password, then we will be returning back with errors password if any error is there, the password the provided password does not match our records, and if it is matching so dollar request session password confirm. So return redirect intended method, and to that we will be attaching middleware method. To that middleware auth throttle colon 6 comma 1. So like this we will be using password confirmed method. Protecting routes. So we will be using password dot confirm name route. So middleware we will be using password dot confirm middleware. We should ensure that any route that performs an action which requires a recent password confirmation is assigned the password.confirm middleware. This middleware is included with the default installation of Laravel and will automatically store the user's intended destination in the section so that the user may be redirected to the location after confirming their password. Adding custom guards. We will be using the extend method in order to create custom guards, and once we create that custom guard, we will be assigning in the guards array configuration array of auth.php in the driver as a driver. So driver GWT like that. Guards API driver GWT provider users like this. Auth.php contains configuration file contains guards configuration. Now we see um, closure request guards. For creating custom to implement custom HTTP request based authentication system is by using auth double colon via request method. This method allows us to quickly define our authentication process using a single closure. Like this, and once we create that custom uh, closure based request guard, then we will be mentioning in the guards configuration of our auth.php file like this. Guards API driver custom token. Like this, we will be handling the custom closure request guards. Now we see adding custom user provider. We will be using provider method in app service provider, and once we create that provider custom provider, for example Mongo here, and we will be mentioning that custom provider in auth.php configuration file. So in the providers array, providers users driver Mongo. Like this, we will be mentioning that provider. So finally, we may reference this provider in our guards configuration. Guards web driver session provider users. The user provider contract. So there are mainly two interfaces. Uh, Laravel authentication contains. There is contracts, which can be called as interfaces. So illuminate contracts auth user provider, and another one is illuminate contracts auth authenticable. So these user provider and authenticable having different implementation methods. For user provider, there are methods called retrieve by ID, retrieve by token, update remember token, retrieve by credentials, validate credentials, rehash password if required. These are all the user providers interface methods, and authenticable interface methods are get auth identifier name, get auth identifier, get auth password name, get auth password, get remember token of dollar value, get remember token name. Like this, authenticable interface is having different methods. And events. So Laravel dispatches a variety of events during the authentication process. So we may define listeners for any of the following events. So events called registered, attempting, authenticated, login, failed, validated, verified, logout, current device logout, other device logout, lockout, password reset. So these are all the events in Illuminate Auth events folder. So like this in namespace. So like this we are having different events in Laravel authentication. So this is all about security authentication concept in uh, Laravel. Thank you so much. This is Universal Heart Sister Ravindar Reddy Yampalla. Thanks to all of my fans, supporters, and followers. And special thanks to all of my YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much.